I'm kind of noticing that a lot of these clips from the front are sort of muted. I might want to add some more color, maybe some more saturation to these. So you guessed it, let's open another window. Let's go to Window, Lumetri Color, and let's work on this clip in particular, this clip that I have selected right here. So we will go and maybe add some saturation. Right now it's at 100%. Let's go to 118%. And let's make it a little bit brighter as well. Okay, that looks good. In comparison to that, oh yeah, big difference. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and select the Lumetri Color effect, which is Premiere Pro's color workflow essentially. Anytime you want to change colors or do anything with color, you go to Lumetri Color. I'm going to right click and copy, or I could just do Command C. I could go to the next clip and Command V. Okay, and then the next blue clip, right? Because we know that that's all our clips from the front, from camera B, Command V. And you can see that as I do it, this little effects marker, it changes from being yellow, which means no effects, to being green, which means it has an effect on it. But guess what? That is not really super fun to do when you have 20 minutes worth of clips and they're all mixed up like that. So instead of doing that, I'm sure happy that we color coded them at the beginning. So let me undo that. Right now, I only have the Lumetri Color on one clip, right? So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to right click and go to Label, select Label Group. And it selects all of the ones that have Lumetri Color applied. I'm going to go Command V. But what happened? Not only did it apply it to all of them, it also applied it to the one that already has one, right? So now it has two Lumetri colors. So I'll just delete the second one, select, delete. So only one shows up. So now that color correction was applied across the board to all of the ones that are blue. Let's see about these from the top. I like them as well, but I could maybe use a little bit more contrast in this shot. So I'll again go to Lumetri Color. You can see right now in the effect controls for this particular clip, Lumetri Color isn't applied. But as soon as I make any type of change, so let me increase the contrast, maybe increase the brightness a little bit. You can see it's appeared now, right? So I can go ahead, select it, Control Copy, then go over here to the orange, right click, label, select label group. Now I can deselect the one that already has Lumetri Color on it. That way I don't have to delete the second Lumetri Color later by pressing Shift and selecting it. That deselects it. And then Command V, and now all of them have it. Now say later, maybe I wanted to get rid of the Lumetri Color on all of them. How would I do that? Would I have to go to each and every single one of them and then delete the Lumetri Color like this? Go to that one, delete the Lumetri Color? Or would I have to right click, label, select label group? Oh no, because I have multiple selected, my effect controls window doesn't show them anymore. How do I make sure that Lumetri Color is deleted from all of them? Well, if I right click and go to remove attributes, it'll ask me, oh, okay, which attributes would you like to remove? So I will make sure that only Lumetri Color is selected as the attribute that I'd like to remove from all of the clips that have been colored orange, and I'll press OK. And now they're all back to the way that they were. So if I wanted to add a new Lumetri Color, I could do that. And that way I don't have to go to each and every one and delete it each and every time. But I kind of like the way that it was, so I'm going to undo that and make sure that they all have Lumetri Color on them. Almost done. I think this last clip over here goes on for a tad too long. So what we're going to do is we're just going to shorten it, and we're also going to shorten the audio, and to make sure that both the clip and the audio don't just disappear, we might ramp both of them down a little bit. So I'll go over here into my effects, and under audio transitions, crossfade, let's grab constant power, put it in here so that it ramps down, and under video transitions, we'll go to dissolve and we'll do a cross dissolve. We'll put it on here and increase the length a little bit so it looks like this. before we watch the whole thing and then move on to our second video, I just wanted to let you know I'm on social media, Valentina.v on Instagram, Valentina V on Twitter. So if you're enjoying this, I'd love to know that you are. So pop on over there and let me know. We will go to File, Save, make sure you save it, and then File, Close Project. Now let's go to New Project again, and we are going to find that location where we are putting all of our Premiere projects. So we're putting them in the Premiere folder, and select folder. We'll title this one, What's in My Bag, and we're not going to create a new bin. We're not going to create a new sequence. We're going to do it all from scratch yet again, and we're going to click Create. Okay, here we are back at the beginning, and remember how before when we wanted to create a new bin, we went over here to New Bin, and we typed in O1 footage, O2 audio, etc., etc. Well, instead of doing that, let's actually be a little smarter about it, because the folders are already arranged, right? And you know, Premiere Pro bins are the same as folders. So I'm just gonna take the folder called footage, shift and select, take the photo called audio, so both of them, and I'm just gonna drag them in. And guess what? They become bins. And look in here. Here are all of the clips. Now, in this folder, we still have the light up art clips, so let's get rid of those. Let's sort this by name, and all the clips that say Lua, we can get rid of them. Or we could just type Lua into here, and it shows us all of the Lua clips, so let's get rid of them, because we don't need them. We'll select them all and press the garbage button. Okay, so now only the What's in My Bag clips are left. We'll select all of the clips that say A on them, and watch out because some of them are also B-roll clips. You see that? They're 60 frames per second. So we'll only select the ones that are 23,976 frames per second. Right click, let's label them as, let's do mango. Then all of the ones that are B-roll, which are 60 frames per second, we'll select all of those as well, and that we will designate as B-roll. So we will label them, let's label them teal. Then we will go to the B clips. B clips we will leave this color, and then the C clips, we will select them all, and we will label them, let's do magenta. Okay, so we have 4 colors here, 5 if you count the audio. You don't always have to create a sequence from scratch. In fact, you can sometimes create a sequence that is from the actual footage itself, meaning you can use a clip to create a sequence that has the same dimensions and frame rate of the clip. Let's take a look at ththese clips. Let's press the tilde key and get some more information about them. That's the squiggly line on the top left of your keyboard. So let's move the video info column and also the video duration column so that we have frame rate, video duration, video info. Now we can see that almost all of them are 4K except for a few of them which are 1080, right? Which are HD, which means that our sequence should really be HD. That way we don't lose any data, right? We don't have a large canvas and we're trying to stretch a small clip to fit that large canvas. And also we have a bunch of 60 frames per second clips and then a bunch of 24. So we should really be building a sequence that is the size of the B camera clips. So what we can actually do, I'm going to press tilde again on my keyboard to get out of this window. We can drag this clip to the new item icon. And when we drag it, it creates a new sequence. So it creates a sequence, and that sequence has our clip in it. Isn't that cool? So the only problem is right now it's in the footage bin, right? So let's create another bin, and we'll call it O3 sequences. And you can see the sequence actually has the little logo of sequence on it. You can take that sequence and we will place it into the sequences bin. Just drag it in there. Yeah. So now there's a sequence and it's called WIMB01. We can rename it by going right click, rename, or just simply clicking on it twice. And I'll call this O1 string out, because we love a good string out. Okay, so here we have the first clip for B camera, but we need all three cameras, right? So we're gonna go to, let's see, we're gonna go to A camera, and we're gonna grab that, put it in, and we're gonna go all the way to C camera, right? We're gonna put that in as well. So we have C, A, and B. And our B camera is properly the right size, but our C camera and our A camera are not. So what we're gonna do, select everything, Shift Command F for set to frame size, and now everything is properly aligned. But not only are they not synced up to each other, they're also not synced up to the audio, because when we go out here, grab the audio as well, it's just, they're all mishmashed, right? And how can I tell? Well, I can just simply look at the waveform. When you're looking at the waveform of something, you can see where it doesn't quite line up. For example, I can just make all the waveforms a little bit thicker here so that we can see them. You see this little dip right here? Well, this little dip happens here, 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 and here, right? You can use these little moments to kind of see that this clip is not lined up. So I'm going to use the right and left arrow keys to see the exact moment that the slate hits. So that's on this magenta clip that's at the top, right? So the slate hit, but you can also see it in the waveform. You can see that little spike that happened. That's the slate hit, right? So you can check for the spikes in the other waveforms, and you can line it up just visually like that. Now, you don't have to have a fancy slate every time. You could just clap your hands and it does the same thing. It takes a long time, right? So let's try to do that again. Let's grab B2 over here, and let's grab an A2, stack that on top of it. Let's grab a C2, and let's grab the audio. So an easy way to just make sure that everything is perfectly aligned is select everything, right click, and click synchronize. Then make sure that your synchronize point is audio. It's going to analyze that audio waveform, and it's going to sync everything up for you so that you don't have to do it manually, which is pretty wild, if I do say so myself. This is the slate clap, and you can see it happen on each one of these layers. Another way to audio sync is by using the multicam workflow, and this is the one that Adobe recommends. It's really, really helpful to name your clips. So my clips, luckily, are named, right? We have A1, and then we have C1, and then we have B1, and then we have the audio. So because everything's named, I know that they belong together. Another way to know that they belong together is to check the duration. So I'm pressing Command and I'm selecting all of them, but mostly because I want you to take a look at the duration. Here it's 6:53, 6:28, 6:53. This essentially tells you that they're meant to be together, right? Because the next one's 6:44, 6:40, 6:45. The next one is 8 something, 8 something, 8 something, and then 2 something, 2 something, 2 something. So even if they weren't named properly, I could still find them and know that they belong together. So now that I've selected the 3 different cameras and the audio by holding down Command, I can right click and go to create multi-camera source sequence. And this is essentially the same thing as the synchronize. I'm going to give it a custom name. So I'm going to call it take 1, and audio is going to be how I synchronize. And then I'm going to enumerate cameras, meaning each camera is going to be a 1, 2, or 3 on the keyboard. And then I'm going to press OK. It creates this really cool thing called a multi-camera source sequence. And you can see it appear right here. Its logo is a little bit different than the sequence logo. It's like synced, right? This one's out of sync. So let's take a look at what a multi-camera source sequence is. If I double click it, it's blank, nothing appears. But as I move, you can start seeing all 3 cameras all at once, and I can actually move in between cameras. Okay, so I went ahead and did that to all of the takes. You can see here in take 1, we have the 3 cameras. Take 2, we have all 3 cameras. Of course, this one's smaller because this one's recorded in 1080 and these 2 were recorded in 4K. Then we have take 3, and then we have take 4. So say I wanted to place them on the timeline. Well, I can just drag the multi-camera source sequence onto my timeline here, and it looks like this because it's a multi-camera source sequence, and I can actually switch between cameras by pressing 1, 2, or 3 on my keyboard. Right now I'm pressing 1, 2, and 3, and it's switching. It's also nested, so I can go inside of this sequence and see the actual clips. So if I hold down Alt and just select the audio and I double click, here's what that inside looks like. And I can go ahead and these big ones, I can change their size. So I can say 50 and clip A is also 50. So now all 3 of these are at 50%. Let's actually make this one a little bit larger, maybe like 60%. There we go. And if I go back here, that's been adjusted. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. One of the best things about working with a multi-camera source sequence is that you can actually insert cuts as you are playing through, as long as you have it enabled. So right now, that button isn't here. So I'm going to add the button by going to the button editor. So I go here, plus, and I add the button that's called multi-camera record on off. And let's actually add toggle multicam view as well. I'll press OK. So if I go to multicam view, all of a sudden I can actually see all 3 cameras at the same time, and I can see the one that I'm on, 1, 2, 3. And if I press this multi-camera record toggle on off and I start playing it, as I'm pressing 1, 2, 3, those cuts will just appear. Let's first. So as we open this up, you'll see some other essentials that I grab all the time first. So we have a pair of scissors. It's super handy for a multitude of... And check it out. As I was viewing it, those cuts were coming through. There all those cuts are. If I want to change any of them, I can just select it and like press 3, for example, and that goes to 3. Press 2, for example, and that goes to 2. If I want to change where the cut is, I can use the rolling edit tool by going to N, that's N on my keyboard, and just rolling that edit left or right to change where it is on my timeline. And then later, if I want to not be looking at the multicam view the whole time, I can just select it, right click, go to multi-camera and go to flatten. and then it breaks it up into all of my original clips. But personally, I love to see my clips laid out like this. So remember before when I dragged it in and it was like this, like one nested clip? Well, instead of doing that, I'm going to deselect this button right here, which stands for Insert and Overwrite Sequences as Nests or Individual Clips. It's a mouthful, but basically I'm going to deselect it. And now when I drag in take 1, take 2, or I could do multiple takes at the same time, it all drags in as a beautiful rainbow. And that's what I'm going to work on. So I'm going to select all this, I'm going to delete it, and I'm simply going to work on these takes right now. So you might be wondering, why are there so many audio tracks and why did you record audio separately? A lot of the time when you record audio on your camera like I'm recording right now, it sounds horrible, right? It's called scratch audio. We only use it as a reference in order to have a synchronization point. And we get a better recorder or a better microphone closer to us so that that audio could sound a lot better and a lot crisper. I'm going to mute these tracks. You never know, I might need them. I don't want to delete them right away. And I'm going to start cutting. Now, before, remember that shortcut, the Command K that slices through? Well, it doesn't just slice through one layer. It could slice through multiple layers, but see what happens if I try. So I'm going to put my playhead over here and I'm going to try to do Command K. It sliced through the orange one, but it did not slice through the blue or the magenta one. And it also didn't slice through this audio. Why? Well, because track targeting isn't turned on. Track targeting means those are the tracks that are active and available to take shortcuts. So I'm going to make sure that track targeting is on for everything. And now when I do Command K, bam, it works across the board. I'm going to delete this, ripple delete, and keep playing. Hey, my name is Valentina V, and I am a cinematographer and director based in Los Angeles. Listening through to this whole thing, it's going to take forever, right? This video is right now 24 minutes long. That takes too long. So something that I like to do is do J, K, and L. So J, K, and L will actually rewind, pause, and fast forward your video. If you press J twice, it'll rewind faster. If you press L twice, it'll fast forward faster. So let me use J, K, and L to get through this a little bit faster.
And it's also not my crates of grip equipment that has stuff like extension cords, what we call stingers, and clips, and all so close. Hi, my name is Valentina V, and
So I'm going to do Q over there.
Hi, my name is Valentina V, and I'm a director and cinematographer based in Los Angeles. I thought it would be fun to show you what's in my ditty bag. This is the tool bag that I bring to set every day that has all of my little essentials in it. It's not my camera case, which has my cameras, lenses, batteries, but it is all of the other things that I think a lot of people don't talk about and don't think about.
That was good. Now, I just did Command K, but look what happened. It only cut the top clip because Command K not only works on the tracks that are track targeted, but if you have a clip selected, it'll only work on that clip, right? So if I didn't have that clip selected and I did Command K, it would cut through every single one of these clips. But if I did have the top clip selected and I did Command K, it will only cut through what was selected. Now, 2 ways to counteract that. You can either do Shift Command K, but I don't like doing Shift Command K because I have one of my hands on the mouse and one on the keyboard, and it's just like too far away for my little hand to navigate. So instead of what I like to do is over here under sequence, I will deselect selection follows playhead, which means this is the playhead. That way, when the playhead moves, the top clip isn't selected. If selection follows playhead is enabled, that means it will always be selected. So I'm going to deselect selection follows playhead, and I'm going to keep editing. Command K, go forward, do a Q to cut out that gap. And in fact, I see more gaps coming up. I can cut them out right away because I'm seeing the dip, right? That's happening in here in the waveform. So I automatically know that is a gap that I have to cut out. So I can do Command K, move it forward, Q, cut that gap out. Okay, so I cut it down to under 20 minutes. I know for a fact that it's definitely not going to be longer than 5, probably at the most 10. So there's a lot of fat that I got to trim. But first, let's clean some stuff up. So let's take all of these multi-camera source sequences, put them into the sequences bin. Then let's duplicate our current sequence. So I'm going to call it first cut and open it up by double clicking. So now we're working on that one. So we save the string out for later. And let's actually generate a transcript and work off of that instead. This is a new feature in Premiere Pro. It's called text-based editing, and it is incredible. It is like magic. You just go over to Window, scroll down to Text to open the text workspace, and in the transcript tab, you'll see it says 16 source clips have not been transcribed. All you got to do is click transcribe. This is going to revolutionize video editing in just a few minutes. It's going to take this 20-minute chunk and pop out a transcript. It's already done it. Here it is. And look how accurate it is.
Boom, here it is in all its glory. I decided to take one that has outside pockets.
Not only is it incredibly accurate, but you can also just edit. So that entire first sentence, I want it to be gone. So I highlight it. You see it highlights it here on the actual sequence. So yeah, highlight it and then press delete. Boom, it deletes it. I can also see all the pauses as well, and I can delete the pauses if any of them seem too long. So here, for example.
So as we open this up, you'll see some other essentials that I grab all the time first. So we have a pair of scissors. It's super handy for
just delete everything before we have a pair of scissors. You can see right here, it highlighted that section, and I can just cut. Another feature is that you can edit the video and the transcript updates. So here, for example, let's do Command K to insert a cut, and I want to get rid of everything from here to that cut. So I'll press W and it gets rid of it. And look, the transcript also updated. Okay, I cut it all up. I think the last thing I'm going to do is, because I recorded the intro at the end, so I'm going to take the intro, there it is, and I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to go to the very beginning here, and I'm going to paste it. And then the intro I recorded at the beginning, I'm going to just delete it. Something that happens when you're cutting stuff up like this, especially for a long video, is that when you are done cutting up your audio, you might step on a line ever so slightly, maybe like, I don't know, you're half of a frame off, but it sounds bad, like in this instance.
Having a headlamp,
right? Like you just need a little bit of smoothness there. So for that, I go into effects and I'll go into audio transitions, crossfade constant power, and I'll drop a constant power transition and double click, and I'll literally make it just 2 frames wide like that. So it's the tiniest little transition, but it really helps. Listen.
Is a headlamp. Having a headlamp,
right? It helps transition. So I'll go ahead and select it. I'll copy it. I'll zoom out all the way. And then I will hold down Command while selecting all of the transitions, and I'll Command V. So I'll paste that short transition everywhere so that it's in there. It's everywhere. Next, what I think I'll do is I'll just make sure that everything is aligned with the colors of it. And I'll do it in this way. Instead of hiding and unhiding, hiding and unhiding, and trying to mess with the colors, what I'll do is I'll shorten this top clip a little bit so that I have the bottom clip exposed. And I will open up Lumetri Color. And I'll go ahead and also open up Comparison View over here. And what comparison view does is on the right, it shows you what clip you have selected, which is this blue clip here. And on the left, it shows you what clip you're trying to match it to. So I will actually take this timing right here of this clip, and I'll put it in here so I can match as close as possible. So the first thing I can do is I can try to go to color wheels and match and click apply match. And that's going to try to guesstimate the colors in this frame and apply them to this. So we'll see how that does. Actually, that did pretty good. It's a lot closer, I think. But I'll go to basic correction. I'll do some more correcting. So I will probably make it warmer. Yes, I'll give it a little bit more saturation. Or should I make it cooler? Maybe I'll make it cooler. A little bit more green, a little bit more saturation, a little bit brighter. Let's see. Does that look about right when it goes to my face? Let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty close, I'll say. I can go over here to my effect controls. I can toggle the lumetri color on and off to kind of see the difference. Definitely a big difference, I would definitely say. Maybe a little bit more contrast, a little bit more brightness, and yeah, we're living. So let's do that. All I'm trying to do is match this to this, right? And let's actually see what this looks like. That looks pretty good, actually. Okay, cool. Except I would want to kind of punch in a little bit. So let's punch in like 70% and then move it down. Yeah, something that maybe even 80. And then move it down. There we go. Great. So basically what I want to do is I want to apply the motion controls of this orange clip to all of the orange clips. And I want to apply the lumetri color of this blue clip to all the blue clips. Easy to do. So again, you just go to the blue clip that has it, lumetri color, Command C for copy, right click, go to label, select label group, deselect the one that already has it, and then paste, right? Now all of them have it. Same thing for this orange one. So we're going to select the motion controls, copy, right click, label, select label group, and I can deselect it, but I also don't have to deselect it because it's not like it'll apply the motion control twice. There's only one version of a motion control. So I can paste. And now if I hide the top two layers, get out of comparison view, all of the bottom should be perfect. Great. I also want to maybe help myself a little bit, start placing some markers above here to kind of help me determine where to place my B-roll footage. So first let's go to the transcript over here in text and I can search for stuff. So I will search for multi-tool. I'll just search for the word multiply, multi-tool. So it kind of shows me, okay, where the word multi-tool is. My multi-tool right there. So I know that that's me talking about the multi-tool. I'll go ahead and press M on my keyboard to create a marker, and I'll hold down Alt and drag to give it a duration. I can even double click it, give it a name. So I'll call this multi-tool. And then later, when I'm looking for, oh, where should I put my B-roll of the multi-tool? I'll know exactly where to put it. I can just continue that throughout. Make sure I have selection follows playhead disabled. M, drag. So here I'm talking about my light meter. Great. Something to note, now that I have all of these markers here, like this multi-tool marker, it's indicating that this long clip is talking about multi-tools. This arms marker is talking about arms in this clip. If I want to delete something before the markers, so say I want to delete these 3 clips. So I go ahead and ripple delete them, but you see the markers didn't move. Here, I'll do that again. I'll ripple delete, the markers stayed there, but this is what I'm talking about, the multi-tool. Yet the multi-tool marker is still back there. So whenever you are working with timeline markers, my suggestion is to go up here to markers and make sure that you have ripple sequence markers selected. That way, when you are deleting, the markers ripple forward and back. I'm going to go ahead and start cutting and inserting edits right where these pauses, these natural pauses happen in my speech. And for that, I really don't have to pay attention at all. I can just go to where the pauses are and insert those cuts. What I'm trying to do is checkerboard these clips so that I can enable and disable them in a way that makes sense. So showing certain clips while hiding others. So for this one, for example, when I'm rooting around on the inside, it's probably best to see from the top. But then once I find the thing, cut to the front here. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this entire video and checkerboard it to hide and unhide, enable and disable certain clips so that it just looks like the cameras are cutting back and forth with each other. One thing that I want to mention when it comes to color correction, right now everything is the same pretty much, right? I match the cameras, but say I want to apply a look to every single clip here, no matter if it's enabled or disabled, I want to apply an additional sort of effect or color. What can I do? Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new bin for graphics. So I'm going to say O4 graphics because I'm nothing if not organized, and new adjustment layer in the graphics bin. I'm going to make the adjustment layer the same size and time base as my sequence. And I'm just going to drag that adjustment layer on top of everything. What's cool with an adjustment layer is whatever effects you put on the adjustment layer, they apply to everything underneath that layer. So for example, if I wanted to pull up Lumetri color and say I really want to desaturate this whole thing for some reason, I want to desaturate it, but actually let's just go to curves and let's just say I want to desaturate everything except for the orange and red tones. So I want everything but orange and red desaturated. There we go. It doesn't matter if the clip is on layer 1, 2, or 3. That color correction will be applied throughout. This works for a lot of effects as well. So if you go and poke around over here under effects, you'll see video effects. There's all sorts, distortions and perspective and stylize. So you can do a lot, like mosaic, for example, right? Whatever. You can multiply the number of blocks that you have here, and now everything underneath it is going to be that. Or you can cut this to size and then delete the rest, and then only the stuff underneath this adjustment layer will have those effects, right? Nothing else. Now that we have everything laid out, let's actually start putting our B-roll in there in a similar way to how we did it before, with a little bit of a twist. So let's go back to our project over here in footage. And remember, we colored all of our B-roll this green color. So let's do the same thing as we did before, because right now, if I pull it up, let's pull up one of these B-roll clips. See how it plays through kind of jittery, because even though it's recorded at 60 frames per second, it still plays back in real time. So I'm going to select all of these clips, right click, go to modify, interpret footage, assume frame rate 23.976. And now all of these B-roll clips will be in slow motion. So we're actually going to make a string out of just the B-roll. So we'll go to sequences, do new sequence. We'll go with whatever the first preset is, and we'll call it O3 B-roll string out. So it's just the B-roll here. We'll go into the footage folder, we'll pull it up as icons, and we will just hold our fingers on I, O, and comma, right? And we'll just start building this sequence very, very, very quickly. I, O, comma. I, O, comma. So essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a string out that is just B-roll clips, right? But not only the B-roll clips, only the best portions of each B-roll clip, because there's so much, reframing that's going on, making sure things are in focus. I only want the best bits. If you're someone who's afraid of taking on a video project because there's just so much footage and you don't know how you're ever going to be able to get through it all, I recommend doing a B-roll string out first because it's like the easiest thing to do. So now that you've got your B-roll string out, so this is all your best B-roll, and actually I'm going to get rid of the audio that accompanies the B-roll because it's just kind of slow humming, like, right? So I'm just going to select Alt or Option, select everything, delete that, and then select everything here, go to set to frame size, make sure everything's the right size, and I'm going to pancake these sequences. So I'm going to put the B-roll string out on top, the first cut on the bottom. There we go. So now all I have to do is drag the relevant B-roll clip, I should say the relevant portion of the B-roll clip, into the relevant section on our timeline. And guess what? All the sections are already labeled for us with these markers. So I don't even have to listen to anything. I can just go, I can see this says C47. So I'm going to go to the thumbnail where I'm showing a C47 and drag that in. There we go. So let's find where we got the B-roll of the cables. It was right here. The laser. We'll grab one of these. Put that in, and one of the readers. We'll put that in. Actually, I'll put them over here to sort of smooth over that transition. Okay, that's all of the B-roll done by pancaking the sequences together. So thus far, what we have here is we have the 3 cameras, and then on V4, we have our B-roll. But let's get into some graphics. And no, I'm not just talking about simple text like we did in the previous video. I'm talking about motion graphics, what Premiere Pro calls mogurts, and they are found in the Essential Graphics menu. So you go to Window, Essential Graphics, and whereas before we were in the Edit tab, now we're in the Browse tab, which really opens up a lot of possibilities. So by default, you have My Templates, which is the templates that are on your computer or that you used, but you can also go to the Adobe Stock Store to find other templates that you might want to use. So that's where we're going to go, because for every one of these tools, we want to have what the tool is pop up on screen as a graphic. We can make these thumbnails a little bit larger so we can see better. And you can see Premiere Pro has 44 pages of free lower thirds here. As we go side to side, we can see a little preview of what the graphic is. So we're hover scrubbing through the graphics, and honestly, this one looks pretty great. The glowing gradient. Let's see if we can find some other cool ones. I'm actually choosing this one called Clean and Bold Aesthetic Glitch Title. So let me bring it in onto V5 over here. And it lasts a little too long, so I'm gonna shorten it up. Also, I'm gonna go over here to background controls and turn down the opacity and the overlay so it's just the word. I can change the word, so I'm gonna go scissors. I like this font. Do I want to change the font? Franklin Gothic. Now let's make it something funkier. Chunk 5. That sounds like a fun font. A little bit smaller. Cool. Let's make the text color the same color as, yeah, as my sweater here. Let's grab the hex value and we'll make the line color the same color. And let's move the line up. Let's move everything, the whole thing, off and down, something like that. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. Maybe just a tad lighter. Oh, no, I like it when the text is lighter than the line. That's looking pretty good. So I set my in and out points here on the sequence. I'm gonna go to sequence, render into out, and let's play it through.
Let's go. First, we have a pair of scissors. This is great for opening boxes.
And I'm just going to keep going, duplicating it. So as I drag, I hold down Alt and that duplicates it. And then changing what's written on the duplicate. So now that we have all of our titles done, we can also generate subtitles based on the transcript that we did before. So that is just super cool. So here's the transcript. It's in the text window. And if you lost it, you can find the text window under window. Make sure text is selected and you have your transcript. And all you have to do is create captions from the transcript. So you can either go here to the three dot menu, click create captions, or go over to the captions tab and select create captions from transcript. And it's going to ask you a bunch of your preferences. So I'm going to go to subtitle default format, subtitle style right now, none. Maximum length in characters, I'm going to keep it pretty short to make sure that the lines are single, there's no double lines, there's no gaps between frames, and the minimum duration in seconds, oh gosh, no, it should be low. So, because I talk fast, so 1.2, I feel like maybe 1.5. And I'm going to click create captions. In no time at all, it has created captions and you can see them down here. It's also added them to a separate track called the subtitle track. So all the subtitles are up here. Let's see how accurate they are.
Hi, my name is Valentina V, and I am a cinematographer and director based in Los Angeles. In front of me, you have the contents of my Diddy bag.
Looks pretty impressive. It looks excellent. Now, they are sort of pretty close to the titles here. You can see I kind of wish that I moved these titles a little bit higher up, but guess what? I can do that now. So I'm just going to select the first title and move it up here under effect controls in the position. I'm just going to move it up slightly. There we go. So the titles have some room. I'm going to select motion, command copy, command C, right? Then I'm going to select all of these titles and command V. And now they're all going to be just slightly higher. And if I want to adjust the subtitles, I can do that too. So by default, they are this font. But say I want them to be my brand font. I can go ahead and find my brand font. Maybe add a little bit more spacing to them so they're more legible. Now you can always add a shadow. You can even add a background. Maybe I'll add a background. Just a slight black background. A little bit of padding here. Yeah, just like that. But you can see I've added it to this one subtitle, but nothing else. I haven't added them to any other subtitles. So the other subtitles are still the same as they were. I can fix that. All I have to do is over in track style, I just have to press this button that pushes that track style to everything on the track. So to all the captions on the track. And I press OK. Now they are all that same style. Say I maybe don't like this background anymore, no problem. Let me turn the background off. Let me add that shadow back in. Maybe diffuse the shadow a little bit so it's not as distracting. Cool. And let me push it up to the track style once again. All captions on track. And now all of them have gotten rid of the box, and instead there is that drop shadow. You are doing so well. We are almost to the end, but before we export this video, we're going to need to add some music and tweak the audio, sweeten the audio a little bit. So we'll go to Window, Essential Sound, just like we did before. We'll go to Browse and we'll find a song that fits. So for this one, I'm thinking something that is definitely happy and inspiring and powerful. Then for genres, let's actually go with R&B and hip hop. And we'll put our playhead at the beginning. Let's see what works.
Hi, my name is Valentina V, and I am a cinematographer.
Not bad.
Hi, my name is Valentina V, and I am everything with you. You ready? Let's go. Hi, my name is Valentina.
Vacuum Zombie, I like it. Let's bring it over. That's definitely going to be one of our songs. And it's probably going to be too loud. Yeah, we'll fix that though.
Expose things properly.
Let's go with freestyle.
We had a teleprompter ready to go.
And drop that in as well. Now for both of these tracks, I'm going to buy them. So I have to, let's see, reveal in project. I'm going to purchase that one. Confirm. This one as well. Purchase. Confirm. I pay for my music, okay? I have a license. Don't come for me. And now I'm going to use the remix tool over here to make sure that they are an appropriate length. Let's see. Let's have one end around there and another one end around there. Hopefully as one sort of fades out, the other one can start. All right, now that I have my two music tracks laid out here on A5 and A6, I'm going to sweeten everything up a little bit because right now they're a little loud. Both of them. So I'm going to select all of the talking, which is here, and I'm going to tag it as dialogue here in the Essential Sound panel in the Edit tab. So tagging it as dialogue. So now the program knows that this is dialogue. And I'm going to repair it a little bit. There's a little bit of reverb in the room, so I'm going to select Reduce Reverb, and I'm going to add a little bit of volume to it as well. There are so many great built-in tools in the Essential Sound panel, like the noise reducer, rumble reducer, dehum, DS, which is those S sounds. You can do a lot here, so definitely encourage you to poke around. As for the music, when I select it, I don't have to designate it as music because I got it from Adobe Stock, so it already knows that it's music. But something that I can do is enable ducking. So if I enable ducking, it essentially, the volume of the music is going to get lower whenever I'm talking and higher whenever I'm not talking. So for example, this moment where I am blinking the flashlight at myself, I am not talking. So the music should get a little bit louder when that is happening. So I'm going to select both of these, enable ducking, and then play with the ducking controls. So I'll make it pretty sensitive, but I won't duck it too much. I'll make the fade duration pretty fast because it only happens for a short amount of time. And I'm going to generate the keyframes. And you can see on this volume line, stuff will start to appear. So you can see these keyframes that are making the volume go up and down. Let's actually duck a little bit more each time. So, and give a little bit more of a fade. So generate the keyframes, and you can see that the slope is going to go a little bit higher. And you know what? I'm going to make it less sensitive. I think it's now ducking on every breath. So I want it to be less sensitive. Generate those keyframes. So this is really helpful when you have a video where there's a good combination of talking and showing. I'm also going to lower the level of the volume of the whole thing so it doesn't overtake the talking. Okay, let's listen to that.
Little cell phone holder. You might think, you're a cinematographer, why do you need a cell phone holder? It actually helped me out literally 2 days ago.
Let's turn everything down a little bit and let's make the duck amount less. Now, before I go ahead and export this, I want to make sure that everything is rendered because then my export's going to take less time. So you can see more than half of it is rendered. It's all green, and then a lot of it is not rendered. So I'm just going to go to sequence, render into out, and render the rest of it. All right, we have the edit done. We have the graphics. We have the captions. We have the music. It's time to export. So instead of import and edit, you are going to the export tab, and exporting is so easy. I'm going to tell you. The first thing you do is you find a name for your export. So for me, what I like to do is I like to do the date. So 2023 0631 underscore, and then I will write what this is. So what's in my bag underscore 01. That is my naming convention at all times. The location is going to be the exports folder that I previously made. Save. And then the easiest thing of all, just go match source, adaptive high bitrate. That's literally all you have to do, especially if you're just putting it on YouTube. Don't worry about anything else. Format H.264 is going to play pretty much everywhere. Doesn't matter, Mac, PC, phone, internet, and yeah, there you go. This is going to be quite a hefty file when it finishes. So if you want it to be a little bit less intense, I recommend going over here to more and changing the target bit rate. So right now it's 15. If you want it to be a little bit less intense, maybe change it to 10, and you can see it has changed the file size. Over here under captions, you just want to make sure to burn captions into video. And over here in range, you can select the entire source, or you can select source in out. What source in out is if you need to only export a portion of your video, you just select I and O, and then when you go to export, you can select source in out, and it's only going to export that little bit of it. But for us, we're doing the entire source, and then you click export. You can also click send to media encoder, and that sends it to another program that can run a queue of videos, which is very helpful if you're trying to export multiple videos at the same time. Okay, so when it finishes, you should get a video exported successfully notification, and you can go ahead and check that exports folder. There it is. Double click, it should open up.
And I am a cinematographer and director based in Los Angeles.
Now, if you thought I forgot about our first video, I did not. Let's go ahead and export that as well. So I'm going to go File, Open Recent, and it was called Light Up Art. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And I think this was our latest. It was the one with music. That's right. So same thing. We can go to the export workspace, and same thing. I'm going to call it 2023-0631 underscore light up art underscore 01. Everything looks good. I'm going to export. This should go a lot faster because the actual video is only 1 minute long. Now let's say that I wanted to make this video as a vertical video as well. It's pretty easy. So right click, reveal sequence and project. There's the sequence. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to rename this vertical. Okay, open up the vertical version. It's still horizontal, don't worry. I'm going to go into sequence settings, and instead of 1920 by 1080, I'm going to make it 1080 by 1920. All right, everything looks good. Gonna press OK, and here we go. It's not framed perfectly, but I can go ahead and reframe it, starting with this end bit here, zooming in, moving it around, making sure, resizing, all that. Yes, it does take some time, but you get it. You can resize it you can reframe it. Let's try to do the same thing here, except, oh my God, it's going to take forever. This is an almost 10-minute video. So if we want to make this, let's say, a square, it's going to take us forever. Or is it? Same thing, right click, reveal sequence and project. You notice we actually have 2 projects open right now, which is really fun. Right click, and instead of doing duplicate, I'm actually going to go to auto reframe sequence and give it a name. So first cut square, target aspect ratio square 1 by 1, and then motion tracking. This just helps the AI a little bit figure out if you have slow motion or if you have fast motion. So I'm going to say slow motion because we have almost no motion in this. And don't nest clips, create. So this is going to create that square sequence for you. It's going to reframe everything so that your face or whatever the action is in the scene is right in the middle. So you can see that it did really well on reframing the things that needed to be reframed from the B camera angle. But from the front camera angle, sometimes it didn't quite get it right, and that's okay. Sometimes it doesn't. So if you want to not use the way that auto reframe does things, you can just disable auto reframe here, right? So now your normal motion controls are back. But instead of going to every single one of these purple clips and disabling auto reframe, I'm going to do the thing I've been doing this whole time. So I'm going to right click, label, select label group, right click, remove attributes, and choose auto reframe as the thing that I'm removing from all of the C clips. That way all the ones from the front are just centered and all the ones from the side are the ones that have been reframed, as well as the B-roll footage. You can see here, if I turn off auto reframe, it actually moves it to the side. So that actually did a really solid reframe job here as well. It also reframed all the subtitles, made them work in this square environment, which is really good. So they're not running off of the page or off of the canvas. The only thing, these titles may need a little work. So I'm going to resize and reframe one of them. Gonna make it look like this. That's good. Gonna select motion and I'm going to command copy, select all of them, command paste. And now the motion should be the same throughout and everything should be in its place. Same thing here. I'm going to go to the export tab, make sure that I have the right name. So this is going to be what's in my bag 01. I'm going to go underscore square, save. And you can see here, it's the same match source adaptive high bitrate, makes it nice and square, high quality. Go ahead and press export and you're done. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know this was long, but you did it. And hopefully you are much better at Premiere Pro than when you started. If you would like to express any type of gratitude to me, then you can leave it in the comments or you can follow me on social media. I would love to see you over there. And good luck with your video editing journey. I wish you the very best. If you want any of these assets or the workbook, once again, that information is in the description. Go ahead and download it and then you can watch this video again, I guess, and play along with me. Till next time, happy editing. Bye.